Hey, I'm here with my good friend, very good friend, Manaz. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Very blessed that you're down here in Tassie.
Come on, man.
Manaz,
It's mutual, man.
yeah, for sure, man. So yeah, you just came down here. What are you doing down in Tassie, bro?
Come down, link with the young Don.
The young Don?
Yeah, Lockie. He's going to shoot some videos for this new EP I got dropping in the next month or so.
Sick, man. So you got a new EP on the way?
Yeah.
Have you got a name for the EP?
Yeah, it's called Help Yourself.
Help Yourself.
It's a follow-up, a little bit of a follow-up to my album from last year. Just some loose sort of joints that I wrote around the same time. They're by no means throwaways, but they just didn't fit the theme of my album, Save Yourself. The majority of it's produced by Larrikin, with the exception of one track, which is produced by Kobe. And
Sick.
yeah, it's just something I wanted to get out while I finish up this next album, man. So I
Beautiful, man.
Might as well tap back in with the young lad and get it cracking, man.
Sick. So you're working on another album too?
Yeah, I got another album nearly ready to go as well, man.
Bro, your album Save Yourself was so remarkable, bro. Like, I remember listening to it, and it's beautiful with our friendship, bro, because we've been mates for like 14 years this year, you know, and yeah, bro, 14 years. We met August 2010, I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, it was around that time, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was the third Got Beef event.
Yeah, it was my first battle. I was battling gospel, yeah.
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 Or maybe that was the fourth Got Beef event.
I feel like it was, yeah.
Yeah. And our friendship, you know, we really first bonded through battle rap, but then, you know, through the time that we lived in Melbourne together, LMG Studios, LMR, you know, our bond then went from battle rap to music and creating music together and then performing together. And then, you know, I remember rehearsing with you in Melbourne 12 years ago and, you know, practicing and stage work, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And now it's like our friendship is just so solidified outside of music that you're just sneaky on me, bro. Like all of a sudden we'll talk for 6 months and I'll be like, so what you been up to? I'm like, I've got a new album. I'm like, what? You haven't said anything for the last 6 months about it? But it's beautiful, bro. I had a really big reflection of it because I just realized that our friendship is just so solidified and strong outside of music that the music sometimes takes a back seat, which is not a bad thing. But man, far out, you are just such a... Not only have you always been one of the best lyricists that like I've ever worked with and that I know, but your work ethic, it's been relentless the whole time. Like it's, you know, through life, through everything that you're going through personally, everything that you've navigated on your own growth journey, you have always stayed so consistent, man. And yeah, Save Yourself in that album was so wise. I really thought what I took from it was such a deep self-reflection of figuring out your own accountability, calling yourself on your own shit, being brutally honest with yourself, but as also creatively reflecting it in a way that it engages the audience, but also helps them look in the mirror too. It's really remarkable the level that you're at in your artistry these days, man. You know, and Save Yourself for me was just in itself as an album such a deep reflection of that, of just your growth that I've known you, you know, man, for like nearly half our lives, like of watched you grow and change, not only as a person, but to see how it's reflected in your music, man, it's top tier level artistry, bro. And so yeah, I'm excited for this EP, Help Yourself, and then the next album to come, man. Like that's awesome, and I'm stoked you're still working with Larrikin. I love that fella.
Yeah, he's an absolute king, bro, and he's so fucking unique and talented, and man, I'm very humbled by your kind words. Thank you, bro. I've received it, and it means a lot, man. And I think as well, like something I learned over the years was I really do try not to share my music with anyone until it's all done. I just like people to get the full picture, you know, and then to get that affirmation upon their digestion of the entire, like the picture in its totality, as opposed to just giving little sneak peeks of everything along the way, and then it loses its impact once it's released, you know. So it's I really try to keep it to myself as much as I can, and to know that you and, you know, other people I know, and even people who I have less of a connection with except for their awareness of me through the music, to see you know, everything that you've explained in your articulate and very amazing sort of explanation of the album there, to know it resonates with people, it means a lot, bro, because so much of it is written in isolation, and then, like, you know, it's me working through and processing things and then putting it out in here for the world to see. You don't know if anyone's gonna resonate, you know.
Yeah, bro.
Time you're like, do other people fucking think like this?
Well,
and then
man.
To put it out and get that validation, it means a lot.
Yeah, well, bro, you deserve it. And yeah, I think it's very interesting, bro, because, you know, we got into the hip hop scene when we were young, dumb, full of ego, full of trying to fit into the world, trying to prove ourselves to ourselves, but to everyone as well, you know. And through our unique circumstances, especially, you know, you and me, we're the same age, like born in the same year. We had the same level of influence when hip hop was coming out and sprawling across Australia.
Coming up in smaller, like more distant locations as well.
Yeah, rural communities.
Yeah.
You know, and which, coming from a rural community in Australia comes with its own little character and traits that have obviously made us who we are, as well as this influence that we took internationally as well as locally, and it became a part of our identity as we grew, you know.
Deeply.
And yeah, man, it's just, and I think, it's the beautiful thing of where you're at on your journey, where I'm at in my journey, and with what we're sharing with the world personally, but as well as artists, because, you know, art imitates life, but it reflects it. The beauty, it's hard, man, because, you know, the industry, the marketing, the trends are all so ego driven, you know. So to really try and promote yourself as an artist in this rap world, really killing your ego, because I think that's what a lot of you and I have been trying to do, not only personally but as well as artists. And I think save yourself the brutal honesty with self and that accountability that you're kind of analyzing through it is just breaking down your ego, you know. And that vulnerability is courage, you know. But once again, we're navigating portraying vulnerability in a very masked up, trendy, ego-driven genre, you know, and that's the large scene. And it's so interesting to where we're at now, because the further I see us growing, the further we can see the rest of it for what it is, you know what I mean? And I know that, like, you sent me that Mos Def interview, and where Mos Def was talking about Drake and talking about these pillars that we're seeing. We're seeing the cracks in the facade of ego now. And it's so obvious in Australian hip-hop, American hip-hop, everything in the world. It's so, easy to see what is orchestrated as influence and trend, trying to repeat the same stuff through ego. Because, once again, Australian hip-hop came from America. That's how they built it in a successful way with the industry, with making it rely on ego, external validation from, you know, all the stuff that hip-hop was marketed as. So that's the thing, like, it's such a common thing to be like, I'm a rapper, so they think that you're this type of person, you know. And I think you and I have become such people that are individually, internally processing our deep stuff rather than trying to fit in and do the things that are trendy or, you know, stuff like that. Where do you see it, bro? Where do you, like, as we grow as people, and as well as we still make music in this genre, in this part of the world, with a pretty small population in comparison to the biggest countries, how do you see the gap between you and the trends right now?
Bro, we're seeing, personally, I feel like, I don't know if it's, I've got to be conscious of the fact of, is this something that is happening on a wider societal level, or is it just something that's inside of my realm of perception? But it feels like, from my assessment, we're witnessing like the beginnings of a divide, and the divide is between the people who are like looking at the things around them and being like, bro, this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And then the people who are challenged by the things around them have a vague awareness that this is fucking bullshit, but they're not ready to process it, and so they're doubling down. Those are the people who are just deep in their TikToks deep in there, like, you know, buy into the illusion of the dream that we've been sold since a childhood unquestioningly, and then you know, they're navigating the depression and the dis-ease that they feel within themselves because it doesn't align inherently with what's actually the true nature of reality, and they're finding these issues through, you know, abuse of drugs or whatever their vice is, or dissolving of relationships that don't serve them, and because they're not ready to address the core of the fact, which is, you know, we've been sold this idea that maybe isn't entirely it doesn't align with how the world actually works.
Yeah.
And so I think
sustainable.
Yeah. So I think, you know, there's people who are like, no, I'm just doing my own thing now. This is bullshit. I'm not subscribing to this. Or there's the people who are just doubling down and buying into it. And I see it on so many levels. So you see it with someone like Mos Def, who was like, everybody focused on what he was saying about Drake. But what he was saying is like, how can the world is falling apart. Everything's going to shit, and you're asking me about Drake.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, is laughable. How am I meant to like resonate with that when there's so much turmoil and pain and angst, and this world and the system it's based on is so obviously not working? How could I identify with this? You know, and then I thought about it recently. I reconnected with an old mate, and I gave him my last album, Save Yourself, and this was really funny, man. This is the difference, you know, like, see, like, you identified all these glorious like elements to the album of, like, you know, accountability, empowerment, truth, self empowerment, and all of these things. And he was like, oh man, I listened to your breakup album. And I laughed because I was like, yeah, if you're not in the part of the journey where you're ready to receive all of these extra elements, it does sound like I just went through a bit of a turbulent time and put my pain into it. Whereas if you're in the space of, you know, willing to take a little, where it resonates with you a little bit deeper, you're able to receive all of these elements. So I think we're in a time of these competing, not even competing, just these two different perceptions that are kind of prevailing. And I think, man, like, as far as the music, like, I'm in a space now, and I feel like there's a few other people in the space I see it, like, where it's like, don't really have an interest in the being commercially feasible. I just want to make my art, put it out to people it resonates with, you know, make a little bit of money if possible. If not, like I can make money doing whatever. Yeah. But I just want to fulfill my compulsion to create, because it's something I feel compelled to do, and it's obviously a part of my nature, and that's one of the ways I contribute to the world. So it brings me fulfillment. I'm not really with all the extra shit. I'm not with the social media, or like I used to be big on understanding the industry and all of the things that come together to make a successful and, you know, well received, you know, project or artist. And now I'm just like, it's just frivolous, like, use of my energy. I just want to impact the people who I have influence over in a positive manner, and reach out and do as much good and try to give more than I take. Yeah. You know, and I think at this time in the world, man, like, it's confronting and it's hard, and you look at everything that's going on, and it's easy to get disenfranchised, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed, man. Yeah. But if you feel like that, like Mos Def sort of was saying in the interview I sent you, like, it's good, because it means you're awake. You're awake, yeah. Your heart works. Like, you shouldn't feel comfortable in the shit that is going on. In seeing and feeling and going around, that we're programmed to feel okay with, because you feeling okay with this means that people can continue to benefit and make their money. You know, if you feel unsatisfied with it, it means we've got to challenge and acknowledge the fact that maybe this shit doesn't work.
It's not serving us. And, you know, for me and my perspective of the world, to, you know what's happening in Palestine, to be aware of the absolute debaucherous abuse of human rights that is happening all across the world, even in the most privileged of places, you know, compared to the most damaged of places right now. Yeah, I find it so hard to just like look at the trends and the clothes and the fashion and the stuff and all the things and the products and the commercialism and the capitalism and how can we market this to sell more this and you know, and for me, on my perspective of the reality of the world around me, I can't
not real.
It's not real, and
it just exists on the fucking thing in your pocket. Like,
yeah,
that's all.
Yeah,
you're out there having conversations, impactful interactions with human beings in your community. That's more real than any viral video or like a million likes on something. Like
100%.
If they turn the internet off tomorrow, what's that worth?
Exactly. And like the beauty of like what I'm doing and have been doing with this vlog is that, you know, I'm not doing it for the views. I'm not doing it for the you know, I'm doing it for that real connection. And every day I'm rewarded. You know, I'll go out, do a lurk here, plant some seeds, you know, share some kindness, and then like speak my mind on my vlog so people can not only meet me in person but also get a chance to understand what's going on in my brain during the whole experience, you know. And therefore that's making people comfortable in being themselves, and they're coming up and opening up to me and sharing. And for me, the value that I'm finding in this it's priceless. I couldn't feel more in my life like I'm walking in my purpose, because, you know, these are the same streets and the same neighborhoods I walked when I did want people to like me. And, you know, especially going back to the neighborhoods I grew up in before I started making hip hop, which once again came from a place of, I fucking love hip hop. But when I wanted to be a rapper, I want people to know who I am, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, made so many sacrifices in my life to go and chase this kind of idea of being famous, you know. And some people might see me walking around being who I am as kind of like trying to continue that. But the fact is, regardless of where I'm at, everyone knows who I am. And in the past, there's times where I've hid away from that. And I know, once again, a lot of famous people, to keep their level of fame, they need to keep a bit of distance between them and their audience. Because I've found over the years, some of the hip-hop fans, they want you to be that famous person that they can't reach.
Yeah.
But for me, I never wanted to be that person. I never wanted to... Well, I thought I did. But as I got what I wanted, I realized people weren't treating me authentically for who I am. More for the idea that I built up, you know. The brand, exactly. And it's such, when people would try to give me props for the brand, but treat me like I was the brand. And once again, I didn't create a crazy brand that was too far from certain aspects of who I am. There's definitely some exaggerated characters, there's some exaggerated narratives that I put in my music over the years to kind of make myself a larger than life sort of character that I reflect, because I knew that would work, you know. Like, put big grills,
it's affirmations. It is, you know, it's affirmation, the biggest possible sense of self that you're projecting through your music.
Yeah, exactly. But then once again, my true self is actually quite a sensitive person. You know, I really like being kind. I love it when people are kind to me and celebrate me. And, you know, that's why I love celebrating people, regardless of where they're at in life. And I think people sometimes that don't get celebrated because of the way the system side of the world looks at them, I think for me, that's the most wholesome shit. And that's it. I feel like, why are we celebrating these people that, and don't get me wrong, I know there's some people up there that are absolutely amazing humans that are fucking famous. And, you know, like, I think Mr. Beast is a good example of someone that, like, has figured out a trick to get himself huge, but he consistently stays connected and supporting people around him and enlightening the world around him, you know.
Bro, I think if I can interject, like, the difference is there are people out there whose entire campaign to get themselves to a level of stardom or fame is just, that's it. I'm just trying to get me onto this pedestal and be big. Do you know what I mean? And then there are certain people who are like, hey, once I get to this thing, this level of success or fame or whatever it is, how do I then utilize this to uplift people, to empower people, to contribute to the world in a manner that isn't just self-serving, you know? And I think that was something that I think was a really big connecting point in our friendship. Was because I remember when, you know, around the time we battled, we were spending time together, and I was like very focused on my come up, man. I was very much focused on just my stepping stones to get to where I wanted to get. I'm not taking any back steps. I need to be paid and compensated for everything that I do, and it has to all eventuate in a higher level of success, or do you know what I mean? And you were just so genuinely like, I just like engaging with people and having genuine interactions and the community, you know. And
that's interesting, bro, because that's 13 years ago.
Yeah, and I remember being like, yo, this is crazy. Like, you and me, there's no real reason that we should know each other. It's just our love of hip hop that have brought us from these two sort of distant parts of the country together to share space. And it kind of gave me a hyper-focused understanding of your perspective of the importance of community and like genuine interaction through the culture and forming lasting, strong connections. And like, I think, man, the way you've done it throughout, you know, your musical pursuits, your pursuits through comedy, your pursuits through, you know, community work and graffiti and art and all these things, like, it is all contributing towards like just this, every interaction you have one-on-one holds so much value and meaning. And so what you're doing now, and the fact that you can document it with the camera, is like, it reminds me of the Tupac quote, you know, I might not change the world, but I'll spark the mind that will go on to do it. And you know, you're conducting yourself in a manner that I'm sure a lot of people find challenging, because it is vulnerable, and people see things in people that remind them of aspects of themselves that they're not comfortable with, so it can be challenging. So you're probably doing things that I'm sure are eliciting uncomfortable reactions, which are then resulting in distasteful or hateful comments. But even in that, you're challenging people, man. You're challenging them to look into themselves and to, like, that. People need to be challenged, man. Otherwise we just end up in this world where, you know, people fucking film dead bodies and fucking see people get hurt and victimized by police and video it and don't intervene and all of these things, you know what I mean? We end up in this world of apathy, whereas you're out there just challenging norms and having genuine interactions, like, and that shit.
Well, I'm challenging the norm by just being empathetic.
Yeah.
It's that, like, the world has become so apathetic and desensitized.
Your basic level of human decency is revolutionary to a certain extent, bro. You know, like,
man, that's the craziness of it.
That's why I tell you,
the way
this is
that
the upside down, man. Like,
yeah, we're in the upside down, where basic level human decency is a taboo in our society.
You're crazy. You gonna talk to that person? Like, what? What are you talking about? What are you talking to me?
Bro,
on the bus?
Man, thank you so much, bro. The way that you just described that for me just validates my human experience. And the fact is, man, I've got people in my life that I love dearly and empathize for them and the way they are.
Yeah.
That they're going, why the fuck are you talking to these people and wasting your time? And it's just, to me, that the value of this human connection means more to me than any fucking money, more than anything. I just don't care for it. Like, that's
all we have. You take everything away. Like, this is all you have. I think so much, bro, about, you know, they say your life flashes before your eyes when you die. Like, and it motivates me, because I'm like, well, what do you want that highlight reel to look at? Do you want it to be you fucking scrolling Facebook and looking at shit on Uber Eats and trying to decide what to watch on Netflix? Or do you want it to be full of meaningful engagements and connections and just like the beauty that this life has to offer through the shared experience of this human connection that we have, you know? And I think, like, man, like the people that you, like I tell you a bit, to exercise discernment, you've got to, understand who's not, like you've got to look at people when you're conducting yourself in this manner and be like, hey, has this person shown me that they're able to receive the type of time that I'm on? And if they're not, then maybe I just don't share this aspect of myself with them.
Yeah.
And even that, like people who are like, why are you wasting your time talking to these people? These are people who are in a space in their lives where they can't even fathom the idea of like just talking. They're so snowed under by whatever they're dealing with, or they're so they have that something is happening in their life that they have to be focused so inwards that just the idea that you are out there doing it is so challenging to them that it's confronting, and they can't have it. And the onus is on us as the people who have that capacity for understanding and empathy to be like, I get it, man. Like,
yeah, and I get it too. Yeah,
I'm not gonna hold it against you or judge you like for not receiving this part of me. Like, I understand where it comes from.
Yeah.
And you've got to just exercise discernment and your ability to share that aspect with them, because they're obviously not able to receive it.
100%.
And that's the hard thing, though.
It is very hard.
So much of the onus is on you and on us, and you're just like, well, what's all of this like enlightenment and striving forward? I just feel like I'm getting better at dealing with people's shit. Like, that's all it is.
100%. And oh man, it's so interesting. You've sparked my mind off on a few things there, and I kind of got lost a bit.
Sorry about
that. No, don't. My brain's just. This is church, brother. And the way that I understand it too. I'm learning how to practice discernment, and my dad has actually been saying this to me because the experiences I'm having on a daily level of this connection is overwhelmingly bringing me understanding and growth for that's so exciting for me. You know what I mean? It's very exciting. And so like, because I know someone well, and they might be living a life where they're snowed in. You know what I mean? They've got a lot of responsibilities.
They're drowning.
Yeah, and they're drowning in their responsibilities, of fitting into the system once again.
Yeah.
And
why isn't this working? I did the work, I got the family, I bought the house, and I'm still not happy. Why? Why?
Yeah, 100%. And and because of just my perspective, sometimes I'll come in on someone that I haven't seen in a while, and I've, let's say for a year, and me a year ago is a very different person to me now because of how much diving in headfirst growth, figure it out, fight through, heal, understand, process, okay, this is I feel challenged, process it, feel it, okay, embrace it, let's go, and I've just been like fucking fighting through the reeds, you know what I mean, of all this sort of stuff. But I sometimes will just roll in, and then I'll info dump on someone that has missed out on the last year of the journey. And because I analyze and I remember all these steps that I've gotten to get to this level of understanding, I'll forget, I haven't told you I'll roll in and I tell them step 12, and they're like, what's step 12? I'm like, okay, I have to go back to step 1, and then he was 2, and he was 3, and he was 4, and you know what I mean? And then slowly, and I'm at the point the last year for me, if I was to explain my 12 steps of awakening, that once again keeps rapidly happening and expanding as I continue to move along on this journey. It's very overwhelming to come into someone that hasn't heard the 11 steps, and I'm trying to...
They think you're cooked.
Yeah. They do. They give you this look. There's this actual look in their eyes that I'm now seeing regularly of like, he's actually lost it. And I'm like, it's okay. And I understand that I'm using a lot of different language from different aspects of life that people don't usually see the alignment between. So that's where, as I said, I was talking to my mate Tim yesterday in town that's been in a couple of vlogs, and he struggles with mental health. And when I talk to him, and he shares with me, he's just got so much alignment and connecting the dots that I understand. But then I feel sometimes he goes a bit over the edge. And, I've been mindful of my growth and understanding, like I need to make sure that my mental health is strong and I'm not just rapidly going off and connecting the dots to everything. There's times where I've probably tipped over the edge a bit, but for me and my understanding of God, now, God humbles me every time. Every time that I kind of tip over the bit of the edge of connecting the dots, God will then just go, no, and pull me back a bit and show me some signs that I was like, I was getting a bit carried away there. You know?
Man, that awareness is so key. And I think as well, so that's important, because I'm sure there's people who watch this and maybe like, and we all have moments of where there's just overwhelming like thing of hopelessness, where you're like, man, this world is fucking crazy, and how am I meant to continue on with my life like this shit isn't fucking like a joke?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think like some of the things that like really like give me purchase and allow me to ground myself, one of the most important things, I think, is like, we all have values, right? We all have like, but we never really articulate it. And I think bringing consciousness to things is like what allows you to get purchase and get your footing, right? So every single day you're out in the world and your values are tested. Your personal space, the way people talk to you, the things that you see in your presence that you have the ability to act on, but you never really like articulate your values. You're just like, oh, you know, you have these vague notions of what's right and wrong, but you never really articulate your core values. So when they're challenged, you may or may not accurately or fairly act in defense of those values. So then that results in those people, you always hear about the people who go to sleep at night and they can stay awake thinking about what they should have said in that situation or what they should have done, you know. And I think for me, once I got a grasp on what I wanted my sort of core values to be, 5 things. So I thought about the 5 things central to my character. I was like, what are the values that I want to define my core essence, so that when I'm challenged by things that in life, I can know I don't have to come up with scenario specific responses. What happens if a guy hits a woman? What happens if someone hits on a chick in front of me? What happens if I don't have to come up with the specific responses for these instances? I just have to know whatever I do is in accordance with these 5 values. So I've got a reminder on my phone.
Yeah.
I utilize this piece of devilish technology that we all have. And I've got like a thing that says on here, every morning at 6 a.m. in the morning, I get a reminder. I'll put my thing on so you can see it and you can read it. But it's basically like my core values. So anytime I look at my phone, I don't delete the reminder. I'm reminded of what these core values are. So you can see it should be come up as a reminder there.
Yeah. That was your passcode?
You shouldn't unlock it, but it basically says move forward with respect, honesty, patience, humility, and determination. Like these are the things. And I feel like maybe recently some of those might change. I think that your values probably don't stay the same your whole life. I was thinking the other day about someone's, but that's just an example of like, these 5 things core to who I am that I have to act in accordance to. So anytime when my values or my boundaries are tested, you know, I have these things in mind, and I know that I can competently defend my moral compass based on the fact that I have these directions, you know. And it's just a little bit of direction that you have in this world of craziness to give you some sense of direction. I think.
Very much so. Thank you for sharing that, bro. I think my values is very similar. My values, definitely there's element of loyalty in it in certain ways. It's very interesting. Empathy
comes to mind.
Honesty. Honesty is honestly huge. My biggest value right now.
Yeah.
And the more I get brutally honest with myself and the world around me, regardless of how many people that are challenged by it, the people that are accepting it and receiving my brutal honesty are rapidly growing and appreciating it and coming back to me for more. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, this is becoming one of my strongest aspects in who I am and how I deliver what I'm thinking and articulate it, is that I can be brutally honest with you. And if you need, and this is the thing, man, like people are so kind of triggered by, where it's interesting. I thought, language oppression was pretty bad in the 80s and stuff like that, and it kind of got real loose in the 90s, but it's making a big pendulum swing. And I think there's a positive aspect of that, but I also think, once again, we have to understand words, because words are powerful, but once again, our process and our understanding is more powerful than the words, and this is the crisis of language, is that people don't know what words mean, they don't know where it comes from. People will use, for example, racism is incredibly politically incorrect, fucking rightfully so. But people are still using language that comes from racist oppression. For example, the term "knocked up."
Yep. That's one that I found out about recently.
Yeah, and it's that's a slavery term. That if you look at the definition of where it comes from,
when a woman's pregnant, the price is knocked up.
Yes, and that's fucking horrific.
Horrible.
And that is still completely normalized in our culture because we don't actually learn where it comes from.
Yeah.
But people are worried about the buzzwords you can't say. And it's like. Yeah, and then once again, it's very easy to, it's culturally accepted and become a part of shit to use this sort of language. And, and I'll go deep down researching this shit, and then someone will say it and I'll be triggered by that, but like, for me, it's the hypocrisy that gets me the most, and especially in this day and age of, virtue signaling, and because once again, people are empathetic. People want to do the right thing. People want to align with the right people. People don't want to be bad people. Privileged people are feeling guilty. They're like, how can I help? Rightfully so. Once again, your heart's not broken. Good on you. But understanding your own background, understand your own hypocrisy, and find the best way that you can contribute to your world directly in front of you. For me right now, going to rallies doesn't serve my purpose. You know what I mean? Because in the way that I look in the world, I can see the pain going on in my backyard. And for me, with what I have to give the world, with my capacity of kindness and all this connection that I thoroughly enjoy, it empowers me, and I know it empowers the people that I'm connecting with. For me, that is a much more important line of work, or a way to direct my empathy, rather than consistently trying to jump on what's right. Because as he said, it's a fucked up, crazy world. You know what I mean? Like, if you wanna stand for everything that's right in this world, you're fucking busy. You know what I mean? Like, you are very busy, and there's a lot of rallies to attend.
And I think we're all in different spaces. Because for me, like when I got, like the other day, I had like just a moment where I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like, the International Court of Justice ruled that, Israel was in danger of committing a genocide. And I was like, but nothing happens from that. Why do we even have a fucking International Court of Justice? And like, B, bless her heart, she was like, I think it would really serve you to come to the rallies, because you're there with like-minded people that you can share space with. And that's what I need. Because for my experience at the moment, I chill with my son, I do my music, I go to the gym, I do these things, but like, I just see a lot of this stuff online, and so I don't get to see a lot of like the good side of things in the real world in my community. So by going to a rally, for me at this time, it would actually probably be really beneficial, because I get to be around people who are equally affronted by what's happening, who are passionate, and who are out here making their voices. So it's we can have differing things that serve us, which I think is so good, because we're so used to being fed this idea that everything is black and white. If you want to do the right thing, then you do this. And that's what it is. It's like, but the world doesn't work like that. The world is very nuanced, and there's lots of shades of grey, and what is right for you right now won't be the thing that was right for you in 6 months or a year. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
And I think it's important to recognise that, there's so much going on, that if you're busy policing people's reaction to it as opposed to making your own stance on what's happening, like, you're only contributing to the problem, because what people need is empathy and help and and compassion in navigating this craziness we're seeing. We've never been able to scroll on your phone and see
this level,
the horror, the trauma, you know, like this is the world. We have never been exposed to this. Like back in the day, there was occasionally the edgy kid who would go on Gore Gods or Rotten.com, and they would see like the fucking hectic shit, woman jump in front of a train, or and it was like tales that you just heard from the fucking edgy kids who would see it. Now you can go on fucking Instagram or Twitter, and it's like that.
Yeah. Well, and it meant, like, once again, this is in Australia. I've learned this the more I've travelled the country, is that you know, there, like, we grew up in, you know, rural areas that were pretty fucking colonised, and you know, the way that the government tried to make the places was hiding all the trauma. And you know, like, once again, there's a lot of Australia that have lived in absolute ignorance, while there is just as much severe abuse of human rights happening in this country. And you know, so yeah, where the government still tries to hide a lot of the reality and the abuse of human rights that happens in this country, the more awakened I see, you know, society becoming, I think there's a lot more positive ways that you can find ways to help in your world. And you know, it's good to get angry about stuff. Once again, your heart's not broken. It's good to be passionate about what's happening in the world around us, but instead of just getting angry about it, because fucking oath it makes you angry, rightfully so, find a way that you can help give love, kindness, and understanding and support in the world around you. I think is, that's where I get a bit triggered with virtue signaling, because and I've been guilty of it too. You know, I get very empathetic, very angry about certain shit, and then I realize, once again, what am I doing to really help it, apart from getting angry, you know? Yeah.
What's the most meaningful way you can impact positive change in your sphere of influence, you know? Like,
yeah, that's it. And that's why, you know, I'm having this conversation with you. You know, I've wanted to talk about what's happening in Palestine on a deeper level on this vlog, but I realise as well, some of my audience aren't ready to hear that sort of stuff. Some people aren't aware. Some people everyone's in their own different box, experiencing the world at their own capacity, you know. And that's where I practice the discernment. Is, I know in Clarendon Vale, if I start talking about Palestine, they're just not gonna, you know, they're gonna be like, what? Like, you know what I mean?
We're in a cost of living crisis, mate. How can that's nowhere near me. How is that?
Yeah, a mental health crisis. You know, these guys can't afford
epidemic.
Yeah.
COVID. How am I meant to? How is this? How can I care about that?
Domestic violence, fucking
whatever.
The stuff that's going on in our communities that is causing harm and trauma. So these guys are trying to figure out how to process their own trauma, and you know, and you can compare it to other trauma in the world, and yes, there is a large scale of trauma from top to fucking bottom, but once again, trauma is trauma, and people are only processing it at their capacity, regardless of what they see elsewhere, you know.
We're not trying to compete in the trauma Olympics, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it doesn't come from who's got it worse, or who's, like, just being aware of people's capacity to deal what they can deal with, you know, and just show love to the best of our ability. I think is what we can do, you know.
Yeah, man, it's all about the love, you know, and holding space, helping people process these emotions,
understanding. And one thing as well I want to share is, I'm a big believer in the idea that people make you feel how they feel. So when somebody comes at you and they're like, what are you doing, mate? You fucking doing this shit, like, you don't feel embarrassed or uncomfortable doing that? Like, that's how you feel in that moment, when you feel judged or you feel, you know, challenged. Like, that's how they feel in whatever. So once I realized that, and you can apply that to most situations in life, like, once you realize, hey, how I feel is the way that the person who's made me feel this way is projecting their emotions, and if you have got the capacity to respond to that with love and understanding
Yeah.
I found it with people online. You know, some of my posts that get a bigger reach inevitably end up with a person who comes on and just projects whatever they were feeling, irrespective of how relevant it is to my post, and they'll post face. And you've seen me do it. I'll be like, hey brother, this is a pretty disproportionate response to a post that is essentially a joke. I hope whatever's happening in your world that caused you to react so adversely clears up. Because you deserve to feel happy. And you know, there was a part of me when I did it that, like, the last part was just a snide little dick, but also the amount of people who respond to that and are like, you're right, bro, I'm a fan of your shit, I was just having a shit day, and
100%,
you know,
bro. I learned that from you, bro. When I get people, and I get triggered sometimes, oh, you don't understand what I'm doing, you know what I mean, but I just try, hey, I hope you find peace, you know what I mean, like,
why would you do that if you weren't
good? Why are you
weren't,
paying attention, man? I got one guy that's
misery loves company, man.
I've got one guy that's been watching all my vlogs, and he's now just commenting on my Instagram like, guy. You know what I mean? And I sent him a voice here. I'm like, hey bro, do you want to have a chat? He's ignoring it.
Yeah.
So he's ignoring my voice message.
But he's triggered by everything.
And he's still watching my vlog going, nah, this is guy.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all good, brother. It's all good. I hope you're watching now, you know.
All the best to you, brother, because you can't be in a good state of mind and doing that. Like, your life, my life is good enough that I remember being in a state of life where I would get triggered by other rappers or people on social media, and I'd be like, see their shit pop up and be like, you fucking flop. And I wasn't doing the best, so I projected it onto them. I would get triggered by seeing their shit. So I empathize with you, brother.
God bless, bro. We're going to do a couple vlogs. This is just the beginning. This is me and Manaz, whenever we talk, we get deep. And I'm very grateful for you, bro. Grateful to have you as a friend. Grateful for your beautiful mind, man, and the way that you understand the world, your unique perspective throughout your journey, bro, throughout our friendship together, your individual journey as a person, as a father, as a friend, and as a person in your community, and also as a beautifully empathetic person that wants to contribute to the world in the best way you can, bro. And you're a remarkable human. And honestly, I tell you this all the time, I celebrate you, bro, because you are one of the most golden humans in my life, brother. And I love you, man.
Thank you, bro. I love you too, man. I'm very humbled, man. Thank you, bro. I received that with a lot of appreciation, man. Thank you.
God bless.
Love.
GreelTalk.